Hello and welcome to Legendary Leaders, the podcast. My name is Cathleen O'Sullivan and I am the host of this show. And together with a wide range of legendary leaders and experts in the field of leadership of self and others, we are going to explore concepts and ideas that show you how you can move past potential fears, negative self-talk and constant doubts in order to encourage you to becoming a legendary leader yourself, with far more natural impact, influence, and inspiration. We want you to be you, to be at your best, and to show up in the most authentic way. So, are you ready for it? Well, welcome once again to Legendary Leaders, the podcast. Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm so delighted to have you back here. And we have prepared another exciting, insightful, hopefully inspirational episode for you. Let me ask you this question. What if success doesn't feel the way you thought it would? Right? You have goals, you have clear intentions, you are nicely working towards all of that, and then you realize something still feels off. And that is something I've experienced in the past really regularly, when I thought only if I get to point X, then I will feel better about myself or better about the situation, whatever it was. So you've worked hard, you hit your career goals, and from the outside, everything looks great. But on the inside, maybe there's a quiet tension, a sense that something is off, like you are carrying success rather than actually enjoying it and embracing it. And often that's connected to how we truly define success. So this is actually a question that can take us very, very deep, and in all honesty should take us deep. And that's what I'm talking about today with my guest, Nancy Ho. And Nancy is a life strategist, clarity messenger, as she calls herself, and a state of mind specialist who has spent over 26 years helping high achievers find the alignment between professional success and personal fulfillment. She's worked with over 10,000 professional C-suite executives, business owners, and ambitious leaders, all facing what she calls the professional paradox. So in this episode, Nancy and I dig into why high performers often feel unfulfilled, even when they've made it, quote unquote. How to move from chasing success to actually enjoying it. And we also talk about the mindset shifts that will help you stop running on autopilot and start living with real clarity and purpose. So this is a real, honest conversation about what happens when external success doesn't match up with inner alignment and inner content, and how to bridge that gap. So here's something to think about as you listen to this episode. What does success actually mean to you? What does success actually mean to you? And is the version you are chasing one that will truly make you happy, content, fulfilled, whatever word you want to choose? Well, let's have a listen to Nancy's story. Let's dive in. Enjoy. Good afternoon to you and welcome to the Legendary Leaders podcast.
I'm honored to be invited. Thank you.
Well, I'm honored to have you on board, and my gut tells me it's probably going to be very tight on time, that we have to literally close down the conversation at some point, because there's so much I want to discuss with you. But first of all, and it still strikes me, when I met you for the first time and you disclosed your age to me, I was falling off my chair. I mean, seriously, everybody who can see Nancy now, if you're on the YouTube channel, you will know what I mean. For those of you who don't see her, head over to the YouTube channel and have a look at her, is what I would say. I mean, what do you do to keep yourself mentally and physically so active, so well, so freshly looking?
I think it's good to let everybody know that I'm 60 years old to start with, right? If I don't announce my age, so to speak, then they go, oh, what do you mean? You know, right? I'm 60 years old, and how do I keep myself, I really can't answer this question. How do I keep myself, energetic, positive, whatever? I really don't have a straight answer to that. It's not like, oh, this is my routine. This is what I do. It's like a formula. I mean, some people do that. I mean, good on them. I don't. I like to believe first thing first. It may sound negative, but it meant to be up, but it meant to be positive. I always look at what I don't want. I always look at what's out there, and it's like, that's bad. Meaning, with respect to human, to people, to mankind, right? Even when I was very young, I'm not talking about in the recent years, right? I look at, say, my aunties and my uncles, I said, how is it as they age, they look so bad? That sounds negative, right? Sounds as if I'm criticizing people, but I'm not. I'm observing. How is it that the person, when they grow older, they can't walk properly because they limp? Then eventually they end up on a wheelchair. International scene. It's not only confined to a specific location, so to speak. So that was intriguing for me when I was very young. And then I said, I don't want to be like that. I don't want. And this has probably been my success formula. I always look at what is not good. Do I want that? Rather than the hype of always people going, I want this, I want that, go for that, whatever dream. All being what, all well, it's not good. But then there are a lot of blind spots. We can want a lot of things and they're all good, but are we willing to pay the price? Right? So that can become too complex. So for me, come back to that, I always make it simpler that, I look at this is not good. No. Life can't be like that. So on and so forth. That's why I said it sounds like it's negative, right? But it's not. I look at, do I want that? No, I don't want. Likewise, when I first started, right, I watched other seminal leaders. Those days when I first started with a lot of seminars and courses, nothing online, And the first thing I look at is like, I don't like that. Again, it sounds like I'm criticizing somebody, right? I said, why are you bragging about yourself all the time? Right? We are here to learn. We are not here to learn about your success, right? For example. So it's always been my philosophy, right? What I do not want, what is not good there, what I do not want, to turn into what I want. Then what do I have to do with what I want? And then another question, if that's what I want to do, am I willing, like I said, to pay the price? Am I willing to do that? Just like recently, I've taken up golf for a simple reason, right? I was going like, I want to do something challenging, right? At my age and things I do, I've been there, done it. Well, there's some challenges, but it's not nothing I cannot handle. But I want something challenging. And I went like, okay, I'll do scuba diving. Then I said, no, I'm not willing to travel out of Singapore because Singapore Sea isn't much to look at. To spend that 1 week away. No, I'm not willing to do that. So even much as
it was golf.
Yeah, what I want, like something challenging. It is challenging going scuba diving, but I'm not willing to pay the price, as I said, the price of my time to go away. So I said, okay, then what would that be? Okay, golf. Am I willing to spend the time on a golf course? Yeah, doable. A few hours, say a week, is doable. I don't have to travel out for weeks. See, that's always been my philosophy. And because this is really what I want, this is what I want to do. And of course, with the why, as I said, why do I take up golf? And people turn around and say, oh, you must enjoy it. I said, I don't know. I just started. How do I enjoy it? No, but I do enjoy the challenge that comes with it. Right? I just had my golf lesson yesterday, and it's like, oh man, what? Why am I not getting a ball straight?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What's wrong? You know what I mean? So I enjoy the challenge because I listen. I'd like to believe I'm pretty teachable. Then I corrected it and so on and so forth. So I like to believe it's the attitude that keeps me going than a formula that, I drink 8 glasses of water a day. Not that I don't drink water, but you know what I'm saying? I eat very healthy, so on and so forth. But when you have the right attitude, then will come along doing the right things naturally, right? I exercise 5 times a week. But it's not something that I said, oh, this is the routine I must do. It's not must do, I want to do. To tell you something more crazy, right? I joined this apps called Les Mills, LESMILLS. They've been around for 20 years, and they got all kind of exercises from body combat, body attack, and HIT. It's really crazy stuff. Of course, they also have that yoga and the Pilates. So a good combination of different exercises. So I just choose that really good. All right. So anyway, they're in town because they go to different countries, okay, at a certain month where they would be there and showcase their stuff, and they will even record a certain element. Like tomorrow is body combat, so they're in town. And guess what? All day I actually signed up for 5 workouts. Each workout is 1 hour.
Oh dear. Big smile on you when you're talking about it.
5 hours, but it's like, I'm excited to want to do it. It's because this is what I want to do. So when it's something you really want to do, then there's no the if and the buts and the motivation. It's all very natural.
Can I pause here for a moment with you? Because I find that very important. So first of all, indeed, initially, it may sound negative to say, I don't want that. I look at people, I don't want that. I think it's a good reminder, though, for us to say, and what do we want? How do we want to be when we age or in life in general? It doesn't matter. So, and when you highlighted your experience with regards to watching other trainers and seminar leaders, I thought initially or immediately, well, she is being authentic here. You look at somebody and their way of working and you realize that's not for me. What is for me? What's my authenticity? And I think that's a good opportunity to observe others, to see what works for you, what works for them, right? And to be clear on that. So that's just a bit of a recap that I really want to stress because it's an important point.
Yeah.
Then you mentioned it's not because I must do something. I want to do it. I want to do 5 sessions a week of body combat.
No, tomorrow. No, the big show tomorrow. They're in town. 5 back to back.
Wow.
I got one small break, but it's like from the time I think it's 8. Oh no, 9 something back to back.
So I'm not sure if you're going to have the answer because you don't strike me as somebody who has a clear formula and how you go through life, which is lovely and refreshing. However, do you have any inclination what moves you from this would be really useful and I better do something in order to feel well and good about myself in my entire life to I really want this? How do we go from must to want?
Sure. Okay, whatever I just said earlier, if you go deeper, it means what? We got to have pain. We got to know our pain so that we will not experience that pain. It's too much hype in this world. Find your passion and this and that. A lot of hype. All right. So again, it sounds so negative, right? Pain. Which is true if you don't know what's the pain that you do not want. Then you go about with that, fake positivity. Yeah, that'd be a good word to say. Fake positivity, because the wannabe, right? We watch somebody and I want to be that, I want to be that. But who are you? Like you said early on, being authentic. Yeah. So the why. So with the pain, okay. So what I don't want is when I grow old, I don't want to grow. I don't, of course, have to grow old. Of course, everyone has to grow, but I don't want to limp. I don't want to go in a wheelchair. I don't want to depend on people. I don't want this, because go deeper, the pain. The pain is I've always been that very generous person and doing stuff for people, doing stuff for myself. And then if this is going to be turned around and people going to do stuff for me, oh, no. This is, for me, that is worse than death. No, the pain is great. Of course, for some people go, oh, of course, when you grow old and then, then other people take care of you, it's fine. To each his own. It's fine for you. It's not fine for me. No, it's not. So that's my pain. So with that pain, obviously, nobody wants pain. then what's the gain? What's good? What good do you want out of a life? If you want to go deeper, and that's really, I go about life that way. So therefore, again, right, I want to be vibrant. I want to have that vitality. I want that energy. I want to do stuff without fail, like you started, right? Everyone, I just went last night again, anywhere anyone would know me, even they do not know me, even they just look at me, they will come to me like, hey, there's a certain presence about you. Yesterday, I went to this, Japanese restaurant with some farewell party, somebody, and I was just wearing a very simple tube dress. Seriously, a tube dress is simple, black, simple tube dress. And of course, with some accessories. That's about that. And I says, oh my goodness, I could see like you're that lady, that is on that, whatever. I don't know what she was saying. Okay, because I'm not even like, oh, somebody is giving me compliment. I'm gaga about it. So I haven't tuned out. I said this, thank you. Yeah. And I'm not trying to brag. I really don't know what all these people are talking about because I'm just being myself. I'm just being myself. I don't like intentionally, I want to be larger than life and people will see me, watch me and give me compliments. I need the validation. I really don't know what they're talking about. But when I look in the mirror and I see some lines that I don't like, I know what I'm talking about.
Well, if you see some lines at the age of 60, I'm like, wow, that is amazing. But it's still important what you feel about it and what you want for yourself, isn't it?
Sure. Because the thing is, of course, there must be lines, but I'm saying that, more lines than necessary. That means I fall short of doing my face yoga. I'm behind doing things that is good for me. See what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like I weigh myself every day. Okay, not like I'm the slimmest person. I'm not fat for sure, but I weigh myself. It's not because oh my god, I'm so scared of being fat. Whatever. It's a check. I'm checking myself, right? That sure is now and then 1 kilo, 2 kilo. That's fine. You know what I mean? And then okay. Not okay, but all right, sometimes because of water retention, whatever. But if I see it keep increasing even a little bit, that means something is not right. Even let's say I exercise, even with my exercises, and it's still like that, something is not right. Then I have to quickly go and reflect, do some self-reflection. What did I do incorrectly? Too many people do not do self-reflection, right? Not only ladies, men do that, but ladies particularly. Oh, look like you put on some weight. No, it's just my dress today. It's just the color, the cut.
Not me. I say, yes, I did. And I have to get rid of it.
Exactly. You get my point, right? But for me, it's a self-reflection, right? So you self-reflect, not to go and beat yourself up, like, okay, I've been a little bit careless, or like, oh, yeah, I've been eating something that's not good for me. I didn't even realize that. Then cut it off. Don't do it, right? Unconsciously, I've been having one Ferrero Rocher every night. Example. Hey, I thought one is okay. No, one, each one, one night, 2 nights, 3 nights, 1 week, 2 weeks. No, that's not just one. You get my point? Stuff like that. So again, back to your question, what's the formula is really about self-check first. If I don't even know what went wrong with my golf swing, I cannot correct it, right? You will keep doing, what was it? Practice makes perfect. No. Practice makes permanent. What are we practicing? Right? Practice makes permanent. So if I'm practicing the wrong thing, yeah, correct. I'm perfecting the wrong thing. So whenever, the people that come to me, whether for coaching or for therapy, and they said, oh yeah, I just need more practice. I said, no. I go, stop. Check in. What are you practicing? What are you doing? Are you doing the right stuff? Are you doing the wrong stuff?
With regards to that, I think it's important to speak about habits for a moment. Because practice means we establish habits, right? We deepen habits. And it takes quite some time, some energy, and you highlighted self-reflection and awareness to rechange those habits then. And nearly half of all of our behaviors are based on habits.
Correct.
So let's try to get the right ones, the most suitable ones for us established.
Correct.
Right from the start. So the self-reflection I want to stress again is so important. I think the other point, Nancy, that I also want to stress is when you talk about stepping on the scale every day, I'm checking on my weight, for example, I see when the wrinkles pop up, I need to do more face yoga. That is your choice. And you feel very much at ease about it because your goal is, I don't want to experience the pain that I have outlined here in this conversation so far.
Correct.
There is, I believe, from the people I'm supporting, I'm talking to, a fine line between being at ease and making sure, I live the best life because I also look after myself and I have established ways to do that. And I'm getting so caught up, I built so much negative pressure on how I should perfect my looks, my way of being for others perhaps, or because social media present that picture to me and it might not feel authentic anymore. And you do something for the sake of others and for the sake of society, but not anymore for you.
Correct.
And that's for me the big difference.
Yes, exactly like what you said just now. You're doing for others, that point when you said. So what you've heard me for what all this time, what I've been saying is I'm doing for myself. So when you do for yourself, there's no pressure, right? When you do for others or to be validated, there's more than pressure. Then you're really forcing yourself to do it. And somewhere something will give. That's a big difference.
Now, I know people in my social circles and my work circles who'd say, oh, I don't want that. The pain would feel quite tough.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel comfortable in myself, let it be at work or with the weight or whatever it is. And they feel that pain, and yet they are not going to take changes. Or they fall off the wagon pretty quickly again.
Right. Good point. And the autonomic nervous system, it branches into sympathetic nervous system, and then the other end is parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is the active, okay? The parasympathetic nervous system is the passive. What do I mean by passive? For example, somebody has eczema. You will show up in the parasympathetic nervous system, not the sympathetic nervous system. Then people go about treating the eczema, treating the hypertension, treating the migraine, treating the insomnia, okay? At that, it can't work. We have to go to the sympathetic nervous system to make the change. So when the change is made, of course, for the good, then what we get in the parasympathetic nervous system is homeostasis, balance. So one other thing in the sympathetic nervous system, all of us, universal, moves away from pain towards pleasure. But too often, people got the wrong pain and the wrong pleasure. Okay, for example, if it's hot, right? Hot, Singapore is hot, right? It's hot. So it's pain. Let's put it a very simple example. So, okay, so I adjust how I dressed. I go into the shade, right? I don't want to get burned, right? So, right, correct. So, I don't want that pain. The pleasure is I'm in the shade. So that's a pleasure, okay? But people get the wrong pain and the wrong pleasure. Example, a student. It's so painful to study. That's the wrong pain. And it's so the pleasure, all right, is to go and play their games. That's the wrong pain and wrong pleasure. But if it's the authentic pain, is that if I fail, that's really painful. So it becomes the pleasure to revise my work and do reasonably well is the pleasure. So the studying, the revising, and what I need to do my work is just something I want to do because I don't want the pain to fail. But when people say, like you said, they're uncomfortable, this and that, they're looking at the wrong pain. Example, the pain of being judged. I said, no matter what, people judge you anyway.
So true. Yeah.
Anyway, right? So that's the wrong pain. So instead, the pain is I don't want to in my older days, example, okay, I'm just plug something. I don't want to be so wasted that I've done so much, and then when I'm much older, I can't do much anymore, or I have to downgrade, right? I have to minimize whatever because financially I'm not so well off anymore. That's painful. If you use that as a pain, right? Sure. I'm not saying that we should still leave it out and whatever, but I like to have I like to have choices. But when I do not have a choice, I have to downgrade. That's painful. That's very painful. So what's the pleasure? The pleasure would be I need to know how to of course earn money, save money, invest money, then I go and spend money. Right? So that's the right thing to do again. So if I'm uncomfortable in this environment, let's say in the like I'm working in a corporate, right? Because the pain is like I'm being judged and all that. You have no choice. People judge anyway, like I said. But then the pain is that I do not want to be someone that's not doing my worth, giving my worth. Not only just the best version of myself, because I'm given this role, right? I got to give it all to do whatever it takes to perform. Right? The pain is underperformance, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then the pleasure would be I'll do whatever it takes and I perform. That's what I'm saying is the wrong pain. People are picking the wrong pain, wrong pleasure. So that's why. So they rather go play and drink and get drunk. Like Friday night, usually I go out for some drinks, but tonight I'm not going out. I'm actually looking forward to staying home because of my 5 workout tomorrow. Because it'd be very painful that I'm so looking forward to it. And after the first, second workout, and I said, no, I cannot do. Then I feel like I'm such a failure, right? This is not something I have not done. I mean, the exercises I've been doing, sure, it's a bit much 5, but again, it's a mixture of yoga and the HIIT and all that. So it's okay in the sense that it's not something like I've never exercised and now I'm going to do it. Of course, that doesn't work. I've been exercising and these are the stuff that I've been familiar with, except that it's more intensive because it's all in one day. So I want to complete it. So the pain would be like, wow, if I give up, it'd be such a pain for me. The painful thing that, I gave up. No.
Let's do this.
And I'm not doing it for anybody. I'm going there alone. I'm not competing. I'm not competing with anybody. I'm not, some, I don't have to explain that. Some people that go into competition in this sort of stuff. And it's not competition. I just join the group and do the workout.
Yeah.
Who's to know I've done well or I don't do well? Who's to know that I've given up? Given up as I can't complete the 5 workout. Nobody's going to know, but I know.
It's purely for you. Yeah.
And I can so-called lie to the whole world, but the one person I can't lie to, myself. That's the pain, right? So people kind of sort of like, they get the wrong pain.
It sounds like a fairly simple mindset shift, redefining pain and gain for us. That's what I'm taking away from the examples that you so kindly provided, because these are some really powerful examples, simple but powerful. And then it feels almost to me like we fall into a bit of a short-sighted perspective from time to time, right? We look up until here and that's it. Instead of thinking about, okay, what's the real pain point and what's the real gain? And what helps me in those moments is to think about, and why? Go deeper with why questions. So why does it feel painful, or why would it be useful to now do that?
Yes.
What might I be enjoying about that self? So the self-coaching steps into this exercise.
Correct. So if I like to believe I will complete all 5. And the last one is body combat, right? Where they're going to do the filming. And that's where the whole group of that trainer comes in, and it's going to be high energy. And then the gain and the pleasure for me would be like, after I've done it, it's like, You know, all that I live for in my life is about keep the promise to myself. That's so big. If I cannot even keep a promise with myself, who can I do that for? And then what kind of person am I?
Yeah.
What kind of person? That's painful.
Never thought about that in this way, I have to admit.
Yeah, that's painful. Okay, if I cannot even keep my promise, or I cannot be truthful to myself, who can I be truthful with? Who should ever even trust me? And if people trust me, then I feel like I'm a fake. I'm no better than another scammer, right?
Mm.
In that sense, I'm sure you get what I'm trying to say. So I live it up. That's why all of the people that have come to learn from me, they're with me for years. They sign up a program after another program, and I don't sell. All right, I see the gap, what they need. I come up with that, and it's like they're willingly take it up. I don't sell. I just look at what's the issue, what's the gap, all right, and I help them to fulfill that gap. So they're with me for years. Some people have been with me for 7-8 years.
So, what are the gaps people bring to the work with you? What is going on for those individuals?
It's varied. Okay, say for example, the latest program I just came up with is called peak performers. So I saw the gap that they're not as effective. They may be efficient, but they're not as effective, for example. So being effective, you need the mindset, you need the skill set of a peak performers. So say, for example, I just did my slide that on communication. So sure, the generic stuff about communication, X, Y, Z, we all know that. But as a peak performer, it's not just, speak fluently, but the deep, active listening is required. The empathy, the willingness to understand someone else, and I said willingness, is not always like natural that we understand. I'm hardly ever sick. I've never got COVID. Do you believe it?
With you, I totally believe it. Yes.
So I hardly ever get sick, ever. All right. I only had cough a while ago, and that was just for a while, and I'm good. So I've got people that are sick, and they come in and tell me that I cannot relate because I've never been sick. But I'm willing to listen and understand about their sickness or about their health ailments. So then I can help them to overcome it. But if I do not have that willingness to understand, then I'll do the very superficial thing, right? Like, okay, perhaps you're going to do X and Y and Z, all right? Stay positive, drink more water, have more sunshine. Oh, God, don't have...
One size fits all. Yeah. Take the formula, go.
Yeah, exactly. See, so I have this willingness to hear them, understand, and then I see the gap. Similarly, I have CEOs that come in. Who am I to tell them what to do in their job, right? They are in the industry I don't even understand. But that's not the point. I'm not here to teach them about their business.
Yeah.
But I'm here to listen to their blind spots. I'm like their sounding board. So I said, okay, just this morning, a CEO came and I trained, in order to help him, I helped his people. So then there was some tension about A and B person. I said, okay, wait a minute. You probably don't see it, but I do, because I come on to Zoom usually a bit earlier. So they'll be like talking away, right? And I said, there's this underlying tension that's called resentment. So when you get feedback from, say, this other manager, don't just listen to it 100%. Similarly, if you get it from another executive, also don't listen to 100%, because now there's a problem that they are kind of resentful towards each other. So when they give you a feedback, this feedback may be twisted. I said, I don't work there. I can only give you this advised. But I said, look into it.
So to come back to the question about the gaps, because I think that's a really important point. You mentioned there are some people who join your program and you realize they are efficient, not effective. So they might put a lot in, but they might not have the impact on others on the world that they want to have, right? There might be underlying communication challenges. What are some of the other key gaps that people realize also in your one-to-one work? Because you work on a very personal, private basis with people as well.
Yeah. So as I said, the gaps varies from different people, right? So when I say gaps, it's like, when they come in, I first sit with them and listen. And then for some reason, I'm able to dish up something. Oh, there's a good example. Somebody came this morning, another person, not the CEO. I run a pretty busy practice. On the average, I could have like 5 people come to see me a day. 5, 6. Yeah. Today, of course, I free my afternoon. Okay.
So which means you need energy,
Yes,
yes, exactly. Just closing the loop again.
Yes, of course. Right. So this morning, I already have 3 clients. Yeah. Okay. So this other lady, she's fairly successful. She's in the finance and so on and so forth. And she says, Nancy, help me with this procrastination. So she gave me an example. This is important, correct? So why am I still not doing it? Or I do I take 5 steps and I stop there and I wait, right? I don't take the full 10 steps. What's wrong? Then I said, okay, tell me more. And then she went on, I'm a tough coach, by the way. I'm not the, pat on the shoulder kind of person. I looked at her and I said, why does it surprise you that you procrastinate? And she went, you go about only doing what you enjoy. You go about spending your time where you're in the spotlight. You go about doing things that you know you have a benefit. So with these 3 stuff, of course you won't do things that are not that enjoyable. You are not in the spotlight and you do not get the benefits. She went like, oh, Nancy, how come you know me? I said, it's not that I know you, it's obvious.
It's an outside perspective, and there you see often more than when you're in it, right?
It's obvious. It's obvious. You can't say because you spend your time enjoying this and doing that, and that kind of thing. Then she went, okay. So that's where, again, you must know what to correct, what's incorrect to correct. Right? So no point for me to give her the superficial thing and, the steps to overcome procrastination. That won't work. I mean, she can Google it.
YouTube it. Yes.
Right. ChatGPT. Give it a whole full spectrum of it, right? You don't come to me and for me to give you the stuff that you can easily get it. So that's where all these gaps and the blind spots are there for me to help them.
So if we stick with that example just for a moment, she now has a deeper awareness because someone opened up her eyes to her own blind spots.
All right.
Right. And what do we say as coaches? Quite often the work often happens after the session because that's when everything sinks in and you have these aha moments. Say, all right, how am I now going to tackle it?
Right.
I'm not sure how far you 2 got this morning, but was there something specific she took away, something that she can change in her work and probably in her personal life as well, because it is so interconnected, in order to start at least to overcome procrastination?
Oh, of course, I don't stop there.
Yeah,
so first, of course, of course, she has to realize it, not even after she walked out. So I said, tell me, or paraphrase or one of those things. Then she realized it. I said, okay, now then let's look at the strategy, right? There's no point to just, okay, I realize and then walk away, right? So I said, the strategy is this, right? We fit into this. This is how you're going to go about. I don't expect 100%, but if you don't start traveling on the right path, you keep going to the wrong path, you never arrive, never, ever. Right. So I'm not like insisting that, hey, overnight, everything is over time. It's never overnight. But it's, like you said, earlier on, habits. So let's change this not good habits, whatever it is. Let's call it bad habits into good ones. So what are good ones? Right. Stuff like that. So I give them strategies.
Yeah.
So I would even follow up. Like I said, of course, they are not children. I won't insist, but I said, okay, this is what you need to do. I'm here for you. You have my back. If you want to, send it to me. Right. And I would look at it. If there's some aspects that I think need some changes, I would tell you. Don't wait till the next time you come in to see me, you know what I mean, while you're working on it. So let's make the shift as you go about. So when you come in, then we are really doing the real stuff, you know, not just, yeah, oh, let's talk about what do you not do right. So why don't we just tweak it along the way? That's how I go about. Yeah, strategy is big for me.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Inner Professional Online Training Programs. With courses geared specifically for legendary leaders, Inner Professional provides an extraordinary catalog of leadership and professional development programs unlike any online training you've experienced before. Hone your conscious and authentic leadership skills with peer group networking communities, direct engagement with live experts, and a wealth of compelling, easy to engage on-demand content. Learn more at kathleenmerkel.com/innerprofessional. What you also highlighted again is what do you not want, i.e. the pain points.
Sure.
So let's feel the pain points. If you keep procrastinating, you know, what's the pain you're going to experience?
Right.
So again, closing the loop here a little bit because I see this pattern popping up.
Right.
One of the key themes that you are specialized in, or key topics that you are specialized in, that really drew me to you and that I resonate with very strongly is the professional paradox. And I would love to delve a little bit more deeply into that, because that is something that I see in this world on a very regular basis, a little bit more with women than with men, but I'm not saying men don't have it at all. And before I keep chatting about it, I hand over to you. What's the professional paradox?
All right. I have co-authored a book with Jack Canfield. In fact, I'm going to be in LA next week.
In LA, yeah.
I'm going to be in LA next week, right? Because that's where I'm going to receive my award for co-writing this book. Okay.
Do you want to let the listeners know what the name of the book is?
Success Redefined.
There you go.
I'm not the only other author besides Jack Canfield. All right. But this book is meant to let's redefine success rather than just talking about success. So the first chapter is Jack Canfield, obviously. Then the second chapter is Nancy Ho. The second chapter is Nancy Ho, all right? So the paradox of success, hidden struggles of high-performing professionals. Hidden struggles.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been through that myself. That a lot of times we can, like have it all. Have it all means whether it's your title, right? Your success as like the material things, or even family, children, everything looks good on the outside, right? On the outside means everybody look at you like, wow,
Yeah.
But often they have this void. They have this emptiness. They have this stress. They have this past trauma they have not overcome. And that can then leads into their relationship in their personal relationship. That can lead into their ill health, so on and so forth. So these are the hidden struggles of high-performing professionals, whether they are the senior executive, the C-suite, but they're not going to go about town telling the world, but they are suffering. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Right? Pain is inevitable. I'm talking not the kind of pain I talked about earlier. I'm talking about like, okay, it's too hot today, right? Or when we work out, you feel a bit of strain. Okay, those are inevitable, fine, right? Some days, you feel that certain tension those are inevitable. But suffering is optional. Makes no sense to suffer. So hence why I've written this chapter in this book, all right, because I want to help people to free themselves from those kind of suffering that they probably feel trapped, whether it could be, in their relationship, in their career, in their business, they feel trapped. And why are they feeling trapped? Yeah. So that's the paradox that I'm looking at, because people always look at success, right? Like, yay, the winning, all the glory and all that. What's the flip side? Right? Why is it there's so many, not all, but many, right? Superstar, movie stars, singers, overdose, right? A drinking problem, pretty sad. Some we already know, don't need to mention name. They take their own life. But they have it all.
Loads of relationship changes, lack of stability.
Yeah, but they have it all.
Seemingly.
Yeah, similarly on the outside, right? They have the looks, the power, the money, the fame, the glory, what have you. But why they suffering and they have to take drugs to like numb themselves, I think. I don't know. I don't take drugs. All right. Or this or that. Right. And eventually they cannot take it anymore. Sad. So that's the hidden struggles. And because they are bigger than life, they cannot just go out and tell people, I've got this problem. They have to go on and live that
Persona,
that facade, the facade they have built up for themselves.
And I think that applies to many different individuals. For them, it's perhaps they are bigger than life. For others, they don't know how to open up because they have locked it up for so many years and years. And now it feels like almost a part of us, of them. And others maybe have lost a bit of the circle of trust around them to say, there is something I've got to discuss, or it feels too vulnerable, or, like a weakness to open up. There are so many different reasons. But one thing that I'm experiencing on a regular basis is that professional paradox where, and then I've been there as well, we are striving for more and more and more. Only if I have the next position, then I will be happy. Only if this comes, I will be happy. When I have 10 grand more a year in the account, then I will be happy. And then you realize that happiness never comes.
Correct.
There's never enough. Then you want the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So it really comes down to how you define success.
Correct. That's why this book is great when it says success redefined. All right. Let me do this. The outside in misunderstanding. What is the outside in misunderstanding? Outside in misunderstanding. I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when I get a car. I'll be happy when I go to a race. I'll be happy when my children grow up to be this way. I'll be happy. So it's, I'll be happy when I get this, when I go there, when I travel. So they keep pursuing those outside in. Of course, we all must be successful, whatever we want to define success. But it's not when I'm happy when I'm successful. In fact, it got to come from the inside out understanding that I'm good and going back to doing the right things. Then, of course, being successful is natural. Right? I was like more than pleasant surprised when I'm chapter 2 amongst, right? It was not even in my mind, which chapter would I be in? Never, it didn't cross my mind. All I was interested to do is put my heart and soul into writing this that is worthwhile for people to read and take away. And it would be great if they can change their life. That's all I'm interested. That's all I'm interested. I wasn't interested like, would I do well? Would they like that? Would people, okay, where would I be in the book? No. So when I discover, it's like, I'm in chapter 2. That means it speaks volume, right? It got to be good enough for them to put me on chapter 2. All right, more than good enough. So this is what I'm saying. You see, the inside out is, the why, the purpose, the reason, and it mustn't coming from outside. It could come from the inside. Then the outcome naturally would be positive. No two ways about it.
How did you adopt this kind of way of being, thinking? And you already gave us some wonderful insights into how you perceive pain, who you might look at. But you also said, I've been there, I've experienced the professional paradox. So how did you turn your life around, if that's the right expression?
The 3 principles. all right, which is not commercial. That's why when I say there's not a lot of people like, what's that? By Sydney Banks. This guy, Sydney Banks, is no longer with us. All right. He passed on when he was in the 80s, right? Time to go. And he was chronically depressed. And he's not some gurus of some kind or a PhD. He was, if I'm not wrong, a blue collar worker. If I'm not wrong, either a welder or someone like that. Okay. He was depressed. Then one day it dawned on him, God knows how it dawned on him, right? About this mind, consciousness, thoughts. That's why I call it 3 principles: mind, consciousness, thoughts. So all there is not even positive thinking. Thoughts create feelings. Too many people think feelings create thoughts. If there are no thoughts, there's no feelings. It cannot. Psychologically, we cannot. Feelings create thoughts. You can reinforce that thoughts, yes, but to create that, no. So that's the 3 principles. So it was my blessing, right, that I came across these 3 principles. Then I went like, wow, that's what it is. Just like fear is not what we are afraid of, it's what we are thinking what we are afraid of. It's the thoughts, right? So people do not believe it is their thoughts that created all the havoc. So to speak, we've heard this 1,000 times, right? Change your thoughts, change your life.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not right. That's correct. But let's go deeper in the sense, what thoughts should we change? Right? What are the thoughts that are not serving us? So it's not only, like I said, being positive, or, which is a even more important aspect, thoughts are just thoughts. Some of these thoughts, in fact, a lot of these thoughts, we don't have to pay attention to them. They're just thoughts. So if we don't pay attention to whatever random thoughts, then you will not subjected, you, I, us, will not be subjected to whatever. Like, oh, would I be like, example, this thought? It's just thoughts. I don't pay attention, right? Would I do well? Or this or that? You don't pay attention. I don't feed into the thoughts. Then I won't feel bad. Then now I can spend my time and energy to use my deliberate thinking, i.e., planning, strategize, execution. Then I'm doing everything right.
I think there's a part that needs to be mentioned as well. Those emotions as an outcome of thoughts create behaviors.
Correct.
And when we are not aware of our thoughts and we just act then based on those emotions, a lot of things can go wrong. So coming back to efficient versus effective, if you want to be effective, it is utterly important to pay attention to your thoughts or let go of them. And the example that just popped up again was, people may be judging me. Yeah. All right, now we can sit down or have bad nights because we have hardly slept thinking about how people might be judging us.
Correct.
Or we say, people will be judging me in a positive sense, in a negative sense, whatever they make up about me, however the story is they create. Or I'm focusing on, how am I going to be feeling good about myself? So coming back to the execution.
Yeah, exactly. Or a lot of people live in the past. How do they live in the past? They live in their thoughts. And I call them the story. They live in that story, right? Example, let's say, let me give you one. Okay, I was a 7-year-old kid and was out there because the teacher told me to come up and read the book. So for some reason, I read and I, freeze. And all the children laughed at me. Did it happen? It happened, but I was only 7. But this became a story that, oh, I'm so fearful to be laughed at. So then it comes out of thoughts that, what if this is going to happen again? Right? And then, sure, in the corporate world, there will always be people that like, okay, I would say there are three category of people, all right, three group of people in that sense. One category, one group where like, no matter what you do or don't do, they will always like you. The second group, like, no matter what you do or don't do, they have an opinion about you. And the third group, neutral, whatever. So how do you play this game? How do you win? Right? So the only way is, it is what it is. Don't live in those stories which are thoughts created. Okay? All of our feelings are created from thoughts at this moment. Whatever, it just come in. It's just random. I'm talking random thoughts. I'm not talking about good thinking that we want to do this, we plan this, like we plan this together on the date, the time, right? Those are deliberate thinking, all right? We need that. But I'm talking just random stuff.
The unconscious.
Yeah, very unconscious, random stuff. So those are stuff, don't pay attention. Whatever. Not important. So when you just go whatever habits, then it doesn't bug you. But if you keep feeding it, oh yeah, I'll be laughed at. Now I'm in this position. I cannot afford to be laughed at. And why would you even be laughed at? You know what I mean? You're not a 7. And of course, at 7, they're laughed at because these other kids, they don't know better. Right? They're just children as well. They don't know better. So it's like kind of funny. Right? Just I was talking to somebody about passive aggressive. I found out for him. I said, discovery. After knowing him for 3 years. Gaps. Okay. Like I said, you put the gaps, you go deeper. Gee, you're passive aggressive. Right? Then suddenly a thought came to my mind, or memory rather, that there's this movie, Anger Management.
Jack Nicholson, isn't it?
Yeah, Nicholson and Adam Sandler.
Yes.
Yeah. And Adam Sandler was passive aggressive. And all it started was when he was a child and somebody pulled down his pants in a movie. Okay? Yeah. So that created the passive aggressive. So interesting. That's why part of my work that I do is that I do get into the root cause of an issue. Again, if you don't know what is wrong, what to fix.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do very deep work to get to the root cause.
The example you've shared about the childhood and then how it maybe impact us going forward in our professional roles. I had a real somatic experience to that when you shared it, and connecting it also again to our inner focus and outer focus. The somatic experience I had was I felt smaller and smaller because the thoughts literally told me people will be laughing about you. Don't show up. Yeah. Don't show your full self. So I moved internally. And I find it very powerful to do that from time to time and to see what's going on for me and how can I now be in a place again where, you know, I feel cool about myself. I feel at ease. You don't always have to be the most cocky and confident person in the room. No, and there's a difference between the two, obviously. But feel okay with yourself. And that means you're going to be imperfect. And maybe, which happens to me quite often, you say something, you're like, oh, why did I say that? Being able to then even laugh about yourself is so important. Yeah. And then next time you can improve again and move on.
Yeah. You know, I always say this, being comfortable within your own skin. And who's talking about perfection? Because there isn't any. Because how do you weigh it? How I mean, we go to different era, this certain era, you know, Renaissance era, all the women are plump. And that's beauty. In the 70s, it's twiggy, right?
Yeah.
And that's beauty. So what is it, right? It depends on the trend, depends on the media, how they want to, whatever, show up. But even then, right, is that really the standard? Or is it a made-up thing? Right? So there's not even no perfection. It's just being comfortable with your own skin. Be very clear about your life purpose. Or even better, I put it, your personal mission statement. Right? And your why. Know what you don't want so that you know what you want. And none of that. Then you just live your life. After all, we cannot live our life. We can't live the life for someone else. So what is that to fret? What is that to? Why is that pressure? I've got no pressure. I've got no stress. I just show up and look as pretty as I can.
And show up in chapter 2 of a successful book. Coming back to chapter 2.
Yes.
From the book Redefining Success. When you look back, so I'm asking now to go back into the past deliberately. When you look back, I don't know, maybe into your 20s, how did you define success then versus today?
Oh, for sure. In my 20s and all that, it was all about material. It was all about chasing that dream. Or it's all about like, oh, that looks good. I want to be that. I mean, it's how the world always made up, right? There's like, go for that. And especially in this part of the world, okay, in Singapore, this material success is big. At one time, the 5 C's, the cash, the condo, the car, the country club, all that, right, was like a big thing that everybody wants to chase after. Of course, it's great to have them, but then if I question myself, why? I didn't have the why. I didn't even know how to question the why. This why thing doesn't even come into my head. It's the right thing to do, that's success. I don't want to be a failure, right? Of course, who wants to be a failure? But that's not called I don't want to fail, right? Actually, the breaking, the wake-up call, right? Success came very early for me. For some reason, I'm just, more ambitious than others in the sense that, my peers, others meaning my peers and all that, are more ambitious. I do not just get by and I'm happy. So that's good. That's good is that I always want to do better. That's good, right? But being ambitious and not knowing why you pursue what you pursue, except the material and the fake success, I call that. I have a health scare, right? I have a health scare. I was very young though. I was only like 29, 30, and I have a cyst in my womb. At that time, it's not so advanced, so they cannot tell whether it's cancerous or not. So they have to, operate in order to diagnose and all that. Thank goodness it was not cancerous. It was all good, Otherwise, it has to be removed and blah, blah, blah. So that was on my wake-up call. That said, I didn't even have a pimple on my face. As a teenager, how could I have a cyst? Yeah. But then I did self-reflection. I went like, why does that surprise me? Because in pursuing that kind of material success, I was pissed off, I was angry at people, I was aggressive, I was blah, 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 all of that. Brain produces chemical. Feel good, good chemical. Feel bad, bad chemical. So when we are not feeling good about ourselves, whatever that means, whether it's stress and anger and all that, so the brain will produce cortisol. So the cortisol obviously will attack some parts of our body, whether it's the organs or the cells or, even a simple thing as acid reflux that many people suffer from. That's how people got sick. So for me, it was pretty lucky. It was just, it wasn't cancerous and just took out the cyst and I'm good. So even then, it was a 2 days, just me again. And right, because it was so long ago and it's not like now, you go to hospital, they rush you out. Those days, no, they want to store, they keep you there. No, I was there for only 3 days. I was screaming to be discharged and I go like, I'm sick. Yeah, remove something. Now I'm good. I can go now.
Let me get on with life.
Yeah, exactly. No, that was my health scare, my wake-up call, I would call it. And then that helps me to redefine what success to me in a sense of like, what do I want? And that's where it goes like, this is what I want, and I must be clear about what I want and all that I talked about earlier, about an hour ago.
Yeah. Yes. You had, I would say, an inspiration around you with your mom or somebody, who put you onto a different trajectory. What role did your mom play in your life?
My mom is a very powerful, and when I say powerful means she couldn't help it. She has to be powerful. She was a widower at 36.
She was what?
A widow at 36.
That's very young.
Yes. My father passed away. I was only 3 years old. So he has given me the best programming, positive programming any child could get. So a lot of people say 3 years. I said, no, the 3 years is something else. All right. Think the world of me, and almost sitting on his lap, and he's always telling me stuff. Of course, not that I remember them, but I had the impression that bonding, the energy of the bonding. And then, of course, as I grew up, the family keep reminding me, Dad say this, Dad say that about you. You're a star, you shine, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's from that. So mom, all right, because she couldn't help, she had to put food on the table. She has 4 children. All right. So when I say powerful, it's like her mind has to be powerful. Okay, I think I should tell the story. She said to us when my dad died, right? She grieved and she cried for 7 days, 7 nights. But after the 7th night, on the 8th day, she woke up and says, enough of this grieving. Life must go on. I have 4 children. But that's not the highlight. The highlight was, she needs to put food on the table. She needs to be successful. She has to bring the kids up and all that. But she asked herself, choices. Am I going to do something that will make my children proud? Or am I just going to do something to make money? That's how people go different route. Huh? Making money is not the end goal. Right? It's not the angle, all right? This is a manifesto at the end of the day, right? But it's not that. So she asked herself what choice, right? Which choice? And of course, she picked the one that she would make her children proud. That, the mother that she can be. But she's a tiger mother, all right? She's not one that lovey-dovey and all that. She hasn't got time for it. All right. So of course, when I was younger, I wouldn't understand why she was a certain way. A certain way meaning like, she appears as she doesn't care, but that's not true. When I grow up, I understand it's called accountability. Yeah. She's not going to be like, oh, are you going to study well and blah, blah, blah. She goes like a choice, study or don't study. Either way, no pain for me because it's your life, not mine. Now, that sounds as if she doesn't care, right? So probably it's this sort of energy I'm very used to. So that's why I said what I said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the pain and the gain and all that, right? So it's just no pain for me. It's pain for you. It's your life, not my life. Yeah. Similarly, right? You want to do stuff that, that you're shameful about or things that you're going to end up in trouble. Again, it's your life. All right. So she taught us all right. For me, for sure, she had taught me accountability. Yeah. So with the accountability, I would know how to make the right choice.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas some parents are very protective, so afraid that the kid will go wrong, take the wrong path. But you can't control them. When they're old enough, they have their own activities. You don't even know what they do. So it's likewise, I've never smoked in my life. And during the time that I'm growing up, smoking was a trend, was something like so fashionable. And why did I not do it? I said, smell? It's all not even health. The smell? Why would I want to smell this way? Why would I want to be all dressed and holding on that cigarette doesn't look at anything pretty or elegant? Now, I'm not insulting people that smoke, but it's a fact. Especially the smell. Let alone the health element. So I will never do it. You see?
I mean, I clearly see where your mindset to life, to choices in life comes from. That's now very, very clear.
Okay.
I love that point around choices, and she didn't teach it necessarily, and yet she taught you children, or you as children, that you have choices and you make your own choices.
Correct.
And I love that. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to do that at home. And I do that to some extent already. And it isn't about not caring. You may come across quite strict and, over to you. But at the same time, I also believe that we need to learn how to take responsibility for our life and for our decisions and learn from them then.
Yeah, so I'm afraid to say that, I hate to say that, not afraid to say, I hate to say that. The younger generation, they don't know what's called accountability. They're served on a platter, right? In Singapore, it's very easy to get helpers. So they're used to having helpers, maids to do everything for them. right? So to them, even how much, so what's success for them, what's that to pursue? You know what I mean? I have shelter, I have food, I have this, I have that, I've got lots of presents, I can get to go for holidays because my parents want to bring me to holidays, because the parents, do not want the child to miss out on opportunities. And so they want to show them, please. And I go like, for what? They go, they enjoy, and they become an entitlement, particularly children. Right? So every school holiday is like, Mommy, Daddy, where are we going? And they go further and further away. And they take it for granted. This is given. It's given. I don't have to, pursue anything. It's just given to me. See? So what choices do they make? They don't even know how to make choices, but without realizing, not making a choice is a choice itself.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think it also depends on how you set it up. And I know we are not talking necessarily here about parenting today, but it's a great example. My son, who's only going to be 4 soon, he said the other day, which shows the level of entitlement, when we came home, he looked into the living room and he was like, "Oh, but there's nothing new." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Sometimes I would go to the supermarket and bring him a little magazine. He likes to read or look through stories and so on. And he's like, "There's nothing." I'm like, "Well, there shouldn't be something new every day, should there be?" "Oh, but I like something new." So I'm going to stop here because it was an aha moment for me to say, I need to go in deep inside and think about, where does this early sense of entitlement come from? Because that stops right away here.
All right.
That was for me a real shocker. We love to travel as a family as well, but what we do is we don't always do the luxury stuff, A. And B, what's also important is he's just too young to understand it now, but be with the locals. So when we are in Indonesia, for example, we would spend time with the locals, and he picks up on the language and the culture, and he also realizes not everybody has got everything that it comes to him naturally. And I think that's really important, because I see patterns that you've highlighted as well. This, not only entitlement, but what I find really sad is that this striving for more materialistic stuff starts at a very early age.
Correct.
And I wonder how much more depression, mental health challenges will come their way, because there's never the sense of content.
Yeah.
I feel this inner content.
Yeah. So now is the wrong kind of pain, because the pain of not having something new, something good. Yeah. Something that, that they don't have to work for. So that becomes their pain. Right. So then they would throw tantrum that why I'm not getting that new toy.
Yeah.
You see, but then they now get the wrong pain. Huh? Yeah. But then it's a universal thing, as in the sympathetic nervous system, right? We want to move away from pain towards pleasure. So this is not the wrong thing. This is universal, right? This is biological, but it becomes wrong when our thinking capture, let's call it the misunderstanding of pain and pleasure.
And that is something I'm going to take away today, how I am going to turn some of my wrong pains into pleasure. So Nancy, you have shared so many wonderful and insightful nuggets with us here today. What's coming next for you? Because I don't have this sense that you're going to stop soon. You keep going, won't you?
Yes. I will keep doing what I know how to do best, in a sense that I would say, go do something. Okay, reframe. Anytime I coach and self-coach too, right? Do what you are good at and excel in it. There are people that start to look somewhere else, right? So if I spend my life being good at whatever I'm doing now, right? My coaching, my therapy, right? As a life strategist, I want to excel. So not just keep doing. I want to step up and level up. All right. So that's what I will keep doing, and doing my work even more depth, more profound, and impacting more lives. So one of the things that why do I come to your podcast, right? Is so that I can, impact on your audience, right? Your viewers, in whatever way I can. And it's not necessary that somebody pays me, then I help them. That's not that, right? In whatever ways, this way, that way, all that. So I'll keep going. In other words, I'll keep going and go deeper and more profound and reaching out so-called to the world more and more. Yeah.
And thank you for doing that and for leaving such a positive and powerful impact on this world. And congratulations on your award that you're going to be receiving in LA. Enjoy it. Enjoy, the rewards of your labor. And before I say my final goodbye for this session, at least, where can people find you? How can they get in touch with you?
Sure, you can go to LinkedIn and search me, Nancy Ho. You'll definitely find me. Or my email is simple to remember, nancy@nancyho.net.
That is very simple.
Simple, right? Nancy@nancyho.net. And in that case, even you search my name, Nancy Ho Singapore, you definitely find me.
Thank you so much for being a fabulous guest.
Thank you. Thank you.
And to all of you who are listening to today's show, as always, I give you a bit of food for thought and an invitation to share your insights with us. And the food for thought is, what are some of those pains that you don't want to experience in the future? What are some of those wrong pains that you might be focusing on? Most importantly, how can you turn those into more pleasure and have a more pleasuresome perspective and motivation? Let us know, and let us know what you thought about this conversation as well. We are going to be posting all of the contact details for Nancy into the show notes as well. But for now, have a wonderful remaining week and speak to you again very soon. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Legendary Leaders podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, then remember to subscribe to the show either on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or my website, www.cathleenmerkel.com. I would also love to hear from you to discover what topics you'd like to hear more about, what topics really resonated with you, and how you're enjoying the show in general. Perhaps you have some ideas for additional topics, something that you're truly curious about. Please do leave your review on Apple Podcasts as well. It would mean the world to us. Thank you so much, and speak to you again next time. Take good care. Bye.